Okay, so I told you guys that I wanted you to do the first column on each of these pages, and I'm going to go over the answers for those. And if you struggle with any of them, you find you did a lot of them wrong, then I want you to do the other column and maybe get a parent to check it for you after you've done it. So remember, on adding mixed numbers, we basically rearrange the equation to look like this. So we're adding our whole numbers first, which is 8. Luckily, we have the same denominator, so we know that's going to be 8, and then we add our numerators. 3 plus 4 is 7. So A is 8 7/8. This is now with subtraction. You have to make sure your numbers stay in the same order. In addition, you don't. Now, you can still do this. You can still do 8 minus 6, and then minus 2 twelfths minus 4, 9 twelfths minus 4 twelfths. But you can't rearrange that order, whereas with the multiplication, it really wouldn't matter what came first. So here we have 8 minus 6 is 2. So our whole number is 2. We have the same denominator, which is 12. And now we subtract 9 minus 4, which is 5. So our answer here is 2 5/12. So now I'm just going to do this in my head. 2 plus 9 is 11. 3 plus 1 is 4. And my denominator is 5. 11 minus 9 is 2. My denominator is the same. My numerator, 6 minus 3 equals 3. Seven plus 18 is 25. The denominator doesn't change. Oh, look what we've got here. This is 13, and we actually talked about this one in class today. We've got to redo this as 13 plus a mixed number. 25 plus a mixed number. This right here, 10 goes into 13 one full time. I have 3 left over, and my denominator is still 10. So we have 26 3/10. This one is 3 minus 2 is 1. 11 minus 9 is 2 with the denominator of 12. Now we can simplify this because 2 and 12 have a common factor. And yay, that common factor is the numerator. So when it's the numerator, I know that automatically when I simplify, my new numerator is going to be 1 if this numerator is a factor of this one. So anyway, this is 1 1/6. So that is that column. If you struggled with those, practice over here. Even if you didn't struggle and you just want to feel more confident, work on these over here and get a parent to check them for you when you're done. Okay? We'll start with this column. Now this time we have to rewrite the equation because we do not have matching denominators. So as it so happens, the lowest common denominator is going to be 12, or the lowest common multiple is going to be 12, which means I'm going to multiply this top one by 3 and end up with 3/12. And this bottom one by 4, so I'll end up with 4/12. And now I add 4 plus 3 equals 7, and our 12th is our denominator. Now when you're doing this on the test, please be sure if you've got lots of different numbers written out to the side that you circle your final answer so I know what you want me to check. On this one, luckily, our greater denominator is a multiple of our lesser denominator, which means we only have to change this one. So we're going to multiply it by 2 to give us 8/10. So now we have 8/10 plus 8/10, and oh man, that equals 16/10, which is improper. So now we have to change it into a mixed number. You can do this one of two ways. You can either simplify first, because there's a common factor of 2 here. So we could simplify it to 8/5, and then we could turn it into a mixed number, or we can go ahead and turn it into a mixed number now and then simplify it. I froze for a second, so I'm not sure what you heard and what you didn't hear. But anyway, you can either simplify first and then convert to a mixed number, or convert to a mixed number first and then simplify. I tend to like to convert to a mixed number first. So that's the way I'm doing it, but it really doesn't matter as long as you end up with the right answer. You can 10 into 16 one whole time with 6 left over in our denominator of 10. Now I'm going to simplify it. There's a common factor of 2, so it's going to be 1 3/5. Okay, but it would have worked out that way if you'd simplified first and then converted it. You still should get the answer of 1 3/5. We need to just multiply this top fraction by 2 to get 6/8, and then we add 6/8 plus 1/8, and that gives us 7/8. And the last one in this column, they do not have, the greater one is not a multiple of the lesser one, therefore we're going to have to do something to both of them. The lowest common multiple is 10. So in order to get this to 10, we multiply it by 2. And in order to get this one to 10, we multiply by 5. So now we've got 8/10 plus 5/10, and it equals 13/10, which is improper. How many whole times can 10 go into 13? One whole time with 3 left over. So your answer is 1 3/10. If you had trouble with any of those, I recommend trying some more of these. Okie doke. On this one, notice it gets a little trickier each time. All right, we've got 6 3/8 plus 2 15/16. First step is to convert this so that we end up with 16 as our denominator. To do that, we have to multiply it all by 2. So we have 6 6/16 plus 2 15/16. I'm going to add the whole numbers first. That gives me 8. Now I'm going to add 6 plus 15. That gives us 21. So we have 8 and 21, 26. Now, don't worry about the 8 quite yet. Let's think about this 21 and 26. I did that wrong. 16, sorry. I know I just confused you. Don't think about the 8. How many times does 16 go into 21? One whole time. There'll be 5 left over with our denominator of 16. So now we're going to add 8 to 1 5/16. So that gives us 9 5/16. Again, when you have a lot of writing, you want to circle your final answer. You are allowed to use extra paper. You're encouraged to use extra paper as long as I can tell which problem it is you're working on, but you're also going to have a little more space than this on the test. Right here, we have 2 5/6 plus 7/12. We've got to convert this 5/6 to, not convert, we've got to make it so that we've got like denominators, and to do that we need a denominator of 12. So we've got to multiply this by 2. So that gives us 2 10/12. So 2 plus no other whole number is 2. 10 plus 7 is 17 with plus 12. Well, that's improper. Just ignore that 2 for a minute. Let's focus on this 17/12. How many times can 12 go into 17? One whole time with 5 left over. So now we're going to add 2 plus 1 5/12. We get 3 5/12. All right. Now, unfortunately, on this one, we're going to have to do something to both of these fractions in order to come up with a common denominator. Lowest common denominator is the same thing as the lowest common multiple. Lowest common multiple, remember multiples are skip counting. Lowest common one is 20. So we're going to need each of those to be 20. To make 4 into 20, we just multiply by 5. So multiply the numerator by 5 and you get 15. It's 15/20. To get this one to have a denominator of 20, we multiply by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So we have 16/20. Now let's go back to our whole numbers. 6 and 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. 15 plus 16, I know it in my head. You probably have to do it over on the side, but after you do, you're going to end up with 31. 31/20. How many times does 20 go into 31? One whole time with 11 left over. So now we're going to add 9 plus 1 and 11/20, and we get 10 and 11/20. One more time. 5 plus 3, 2 plus 3 is 5. 14/10 plus 2/10 is 16/10. 10 goes into 16 one whole time with 6 left over. We can simplify that to 1 3/5. And now we add 5 plus 1 3/5, so we get 6 3/5. Now, I'm going to tell you there's nothing this complicated on the test, but this is a skill that we taught before the test, and we will eventually test on it. But I don't want you to spend a lot of time tonight frantically trying to understand this if you don't. Okay? And then just practicing converting mixed to improper and improper to mixed. 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. So our 10 thirds is the same thing as 3 1/3. 4 times 12 equals 48, plus 11 equals 59. So 4 11/12 is the same thing as 59/12. 9 times 15, I'm going to go over here and do it, is 9 plus 3, 135 plus 8 equals 143/15. 8 times 9 is 72, plus 2 is 74, 74/9. 8 goes into 29 3 whole times, with 29 minus 24 is 5 left over, 3 5/8. 5 times 8 equals 40, plus 7 is 47/8. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 6 equals 27, 27/7. Notice that the denominator on all of these is whatever is already there. So you don't have to think about that. 3 times 15 is 15 times 3 is 45. Plus 1 more, because we got to add that one in, is 46. 8 goes into 75 9 whole times, because that's 72. That would give us 3 left over. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 5 equals 23, so that becomes our new numerator. So that's how you do, just to remind you how to do those. There won't be any with this high of a number on the test. Okay. All right, that's it. I've got to go because there's a limit on how long the YouTube video can be. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the morning.